Greetings. Greetings. Used to be named UncleOdd, but now I'm known as Uncle Vigilante. Greetings. And as you can see, greetings, by the fact I'm wearing a gold chain, used to be named with a Bitcoin on it, I'm kind of a big deal. Yeah, I'm a big deal. But there is one thing that my 43 attorneys that I just hired told me that I needed to say, which is a disclaimer. Don't take any of my advice. Okay. Don't take anything. All right. This is starting off really well, everyone. Because you know what? I didn't hit share screen. So we're going to have to suffer through it again. All right. From the top, and you're going to accept my apologies. I'm sorry. Let's start it over. 3, 2, 1. Greetings. Greetings. Used to be named UncleOdd, but now I'm known as Uncle Vigilante. And as you can see by the fact I'm wearing a gold chain with a Bitcoin on it, I'm kind of a big deal. Yeah, I'm a big deal. But there is one thing that my 43 attorneys that I just hired told me that I needed to say, which is a disclaimer. Don't take any of my advice. Don't take anything that I say on this show or any of my guests as sage counsel. Why? Why? Because I don't know shit. Hello, everyone. Greetings. UncleOdd here. Uncle Vigilante, Uncle V, whatever you want to call me. You can call me anything you want. I have with me a very special guest. And if you excuse yourself right now, yeah, I'm talking to you, not my guest. I'm talking to you who's watching this. Just go to your bathroom, look in the mirror, and that's who I have on tonight. I have Uncle Newbie. Uncle Newbie and UncleOdd, we're going to talk Crypto 101 all evening. We are both relatively new, and I will tell you that my friend here gave me a call. I'm going to ask him how he came across me, but he gave me a call yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm sorry, 2 days ago, and was asking me lots of great questions. And didn't want to be rude, but I was on my cigar walk, and we did have a good chat. But I said, look, would you mind if we take this to a Zoom call so that others can benefit too? Because your questions are really, really good. So this is going to be a continuation of that call, everyone. And welcome. We already have some folks in the chat. Hi, North Idaho. And thank you. Thank you for coming to see us. I'd like to introduce you all to Uncle Newbie. How are you, Uncle?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good. Well, give me a little bit of backstory. Tell me how did you come across this crazy small channel?
Well, I was listening to Dollar Vigilante, and he mentioned your name. And I searched for you, found you, and what you said made a lot of sense. And then I went ahead and made an appointment with Jaron.
Oh, so you started following me, and then I interviewed Jaron, who is a crypto consultant, yes. And you went ahead and signed up for. Did you sign up for his 1 or 2 hour session?
Well, I signed up for a 2 hour session, and actually it went a little long too. He has an enormous amount of information, and unfortunately, my circuit breaker blew during that.
Oh no!
Mentally. So
got it.
Yeah, so I only absorbed so much information.
You might want to get a little bit closer. You kind of sound like you're a
little far away.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem.
So my wife and I benefited a lot from the discussion with him, but it was almost.
Okay, time out, time out.
Yep.
Your wife is in it with you?
Oh, she's on board with it.
Oh, yeah. I love your wife. Tell Mrs. Newbie I love her. That is so cool. I love it when there's common ground, because I will tell you, in my family, it just goes over my wife's head, and I'm just being very, very careful and mindful that if I get hit by a bus, I have very detailed instructions, and we'll talk about that. But I'm really, really happy to hear that your wife is involved with this as well.
Yeah, she's on board with it, but at the same level I am. At first, she was not opposed to it, but didn't really think it was a good idea to go down that road.
Why?
It just didn't make sense to her.
Okay.
Didn't make sense, and it seemed too risky.
Okay.
So, where was I going with this? With Jaron's discussion.
Let me just insert that this all is scary, because it's just a different language for us, right? And when we don't understand something, it is absolutely scary. So if you are a newbie and watching this, that's okay. Because what you're going to get from me in this channel is to walk slowly, so that you don't have to drink from that proverbial fire hose. You can do one step at a time, and we'll get you there. We'll all get there, but don't be afraid of it, because when you're afraid of this asset class, because it's a different language, you'll freeze, and that will become a very, very expensive lesson for you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, not at all. If I could, I'm certainly hoping that more of your viewers will make appointments to visit with Jaron. I think it'll benefit.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, I think it'll benefit. But I would give a little advice prior to, if you're brand new at this, before you meet with Jaron, it might be a good idea to just research a little bit of the terminology, so the conversation isn't stifled by you not understanding every other word that he's saying. And I found that I was running into that problem.
Okay, so it was that initial consultation was just a bit of information overload. You just weren't quite ready
for that. No.
Okay, so I come from a printing background. When I was young, right out of college, I worked for a company called R.R. Donnelley, and we learned how they made magazines and catalogs and all of that with these printing presses. And before they ever start firing up those presses to be able to run and print off those magazines, they have to get the printing press ready with new plates, with new ink, with new paper. They have to get everything all set up, and that's called a make ready. And the make ready is a very expensive, usually, part of any manufacturing process. So there is no getting up to full speed with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. There's absolutely a make ready. So what I just heard you say is the presses were rolling, and what you didn't have was that foundational understanding of the terminology. So what he was sharing didn't quite sink in. Is that fair?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So before engaging with Jaron, the one thing all right, I'm just going to go ahead and give you, and if you guys watched my cigar walk yesterday, you know what I'm going to say. If you're a newbie, you have one bit of homework. If you're a reader, you can go to Amazon.com and get this book, but I sure enjoy the heck out of it with Audible.com. I listened to this book. I'm on my third time, but I also bought it, but it's called Bitcoin, Hard Money You Can't Fuck With. I will tell you, this book has changed my life. And I mean that, because I now have a different understanding of what Bitcoin is, what cryptocurrency is. And this awesome author, Jason Williams, he was the founder of an urgent care, national urgent care organization called FastMed. And it's so interesting with my day job, my business. I actually signed a contract with him a decade ago, maybe a little more than that. And so when I was hearing the book, and he's like, "Yeah, I was founder of FastMed," and I'm like, "What?" And then sure enough, I went to my computer and I went to my email and I put in his name, and the FastMed email address, popped up right away. So that's kind of cool. But you have to listen to that. So that's number one. Second, what you need to do is please just go into YouTube and type in Bitcoin 101. Watch five shows, and then go to Cryptocurrency 101. Watch follow 5 people there. But there's a lot of newbie basic content that's already out there that if you just go in with some notes, Crypto Casey, her Crypto 101, I thought was the absolute best. Crypto Casey, Crypto 101. I think it's that. I don't think it's Bitcoin 101, but if it is, forgive me. But she starts at the basics of the most important thing you need is this and this. Pen and paper. Why? Because you're going to be creating what are called keywords, which are the combinations to a safe. Your safe. You are your own bank, and you're going to have what's called an offline cold storage wallet. Here's one that I just got in. It's called a Trezor. This is a brand new one. This is how it looks. See, and I have my bag here that I have my book that has all of my keywords and everything written down. And this is a fireproof bag. So if my house ever has a fire, it's not going to burn up my paper, but we're going to solve for a paper that might burn up too. But let me just show you my, here we go. This is all my money, everyone, right here. That's a Trezor T. That is called an offline cold storage wallet. So let me just explain briefly what happens. You have $1,000 in the bank. You're going to go to Coinbase Pro, not Coinbase, but Coinbase Pro. You're going to download Coinbase Pro app. You're going to download it on your cell phone. And I believe I don't use my computer for Coinbase Pro. I use my phone. So I'm just going to tell you what I do. And if I wish somebody would have told me, just to make it easy, because I think we older people, at least speaking for myself, we kind of like to be told what to do. So if you have an intention of being able to get into cryptocurrency and you have $1,000 in the bank, you're going to first need to get it connected, your bank account connected to Coinbase Pro. Coinbase is a crypto exchange. So that's where you can go and buy cryptocurrency. So you will go there and you're going to need to be prepared with your driver's license, information on yourself, and your bank account, your savings or checking account, because you're going to need to be able to fund your Coinbase Pro account. And the way you do that, and it's very easy in the setup, but you have to connect your bank to it. And then ultimately you're going to deposit funds into your Coinbase Pro account. And then you can start trading immediately once you do. Now, what you should know, let's say, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I want you to not freak out like I freaked out. What you want to do is get your coins off of these exchanges after you buy them as quickly as possible and get them into your offline cold storage wallet. But I didn't realize but Coinbase Pro makes you wait like 2 weeks before you can take the money off. So I guess that's part of their business model. They probably use the float of money somehow, but just know that. And that's okay. Just know that you just can't get it off right away. Okay, so you're going to connect your checking account to Coinbase Pro, and then you'll be able to search for any coin that you want to. But here in UncleOdd land, we're going to try to coach you up and just say, get in the game with Bitcoin. You do not have to buy a full Bitcoin. A Bitcoin goes for today, I think, $52,000. Bitcoin, as the name denotes, you can buy a little bit of that coin. So you can buy $100 of Bitcoin, but in our case, we're going to buy $1,000 of Bitcoin. Okay, let's round it up and say $1,050 because there are going to be some exchange fees if we want to get $1,000 even of Bitcoin onto your Trezor. Doesn't matter. Forget it. Forget I said that. Let's just talk about $1,000. So then you're going to go in there and you are going to buy Bitcoin, and it'll walk you through it. You'll just search for Bitcoin. It'll see it, and then it'll ask you to purchase, and you'll put in $1,000 because that's what you have, and you'll buy it now. So that'll buy you $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, whatever that comes up to. It's going to be like 0.025 or something like that. A small increment, but it's $1,000 of Bitcoin. If, just to give you some context, if you would have bought $1,000 of Bitcoin back in 2010, it'd probably be worth 10 million right now. I don't know the exact math, but no, did I just do that? Did I just screw that math up? Yes, I did. $1,000 worth would now be worth 52,000. Sorry. Geez. I'm thinking Jeff Berwick, he bought it at $2. So you are in Coinbase Pro, you're going to buy your Bitcoin, and now you're going to, and this is what you're going to have to, and the reason why I'm explaining this is it's not scary, but you have to do it. It's like I can tell you how to ride a bike, but you're not going to be able to ride a bike until you try to ride a bike, no matter how I describe it. But I just want to tell you the process that when you ride your bike, you're going to have to pedal. You're going to have to point that way. You're going to have both hands on the wheels. So you're going to get in there and you're going to buy the Bitcoin. Now, let's say 2 weeks have gone by and you can transfer that Bitcoin out of your Coinbase wallet. First of all, what you want to do before you do anything, you want to go to Trezor.io or Amazon, and you want to make sure it is an approved Amazon dealer, and you want to buy a Trezor T. A Trezor T is the new one, and you want to do that because that has a keypad on a digital keypad that'll unlock your Trezor and it'll hold way more coins. So if you're just starting now, don't save spend the extra money and just get a Trezor T. Okay. And I don't have a ledger. A lot of people use a ledger and they love them, but I really love this Trezor T. So that would be my recommendation. Okay. So what you're going to do is go to Amazon immediately and you're going to order it because they're so backed up with these things. It may take you 2 weeks to get it. Now you're going to get that. And when it's time, what you also want to do, okay, and this is really, really, really important, everyone. You want to be able to use a dedicated computer. Don't use the computer that you use for your everyday work life. Why? Because there's a lot of evil mofos out there who would love nothing more than to hack you and your money. And so you want to use a computer that you don't use all the time. As a matter of fact, just dedicate it if you can. I mean, look, if money is really tight and you can't, we'll deal with that, right? But I'm telling you, in a perfect world, you'd want to use a dedicated computer. And the only time my computer is on is when I am receiving money from an exchange onto my Exodus wallet, which is on my computer. So that's another thing. Download an Exodus wallet onto your computer. Okay, you can download an Exodus wallet onto your phone as well. But I found that I don't use the one on my phone. I use Coinbase on my phone, but I don't use the Exodus wallet. So, you know, I just really like being able to see it right there in front of me on my lap. Now, what the Exodus wallet does, and I believe I'm not going to complicate things. An Exodus wallet allows you to be able to send your coins from the Coinbase Pro exchange. You got to send it to a wallet. Okay. If you download the Exodus wallet, it is an awesome wallet. And you can do lots of fun things in the Exodus wallet that we're not going to talk about, but you will send it to, within the Exodus wallet, you're going to have a Bitcoin. You can search for Bitcoin and you will be able to find your wallet's Bitcoin address. Okay. Sounds crazy. It's alphanumeric. It's really long, but all you have to do is take that. What I do is I copy that address, that long address, and that is a public address. That's not your private address. Okay. And it's kind of like email. Somebody, you don't mind people having your email address, right? That's how they get things to you. Somebody could send you something. Well, somebody could also send you some money into your Exodus wallet if you gave them your Bitcoin address. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Hey, Uncle Newbie, would you send me a Bitcoin? Here's my address. That'd be cool, right? But that doesn't compromise my safety by giving you that address. It just like, I like you, but I'm not going to give you my email password. Okay. So that's the difference. Your keys, your wallet keys are your password to that wallet, so that only you can control that money that's in your wallet. So now you have, you've sent from Coinbase your Bitcoin to your Exodus wallet. And now there's lots of different coins within Exodus. So no matter what coin you buy, you can send it to your Exodus wallet and it will show up there in your own portfolio. If you have one Bitcoin, let's imagine it would have part of your pie. It would be a 100% of the pie, and it would say $52,000. If you only had a tenth of a Bitcoin, it would say $5,200. And let's say you had a bunch of other coins in there in your portfolio, that'll all add up to a pie, 100%, and it'll tell you what your total portfolio is. So it may be today $58,000. Tomorrow, maybe there's a bull run and it's $62,000, or there's a pump and dump and now you wake up and no more dopamine hit. You're down to $42,000. That's the nature of this beast, cryptocurrency beast. So now that you have it on your Exodus wallet, the coolest damn thing in the world happens. You can take this little guy, this Trezor, and you connect it right into your computer. And then it'll wake this bad boy up and it'll make you put in your 6-digit number. So you'll put in your key, so whatever your 6-digit number is, and it'll open it up. And then within your Exodus wallet, it will see your Trezor. Now what you can do is you can move your Bitcoin from your Exodus wallet on your computer to your offline cold storage wallet, the Trezor. And when it does that, and then when you take this Trezor and you put it away safely in your fireproof bag, and then go put it in your safe, or you put it wherever nobody's going to be able to find it. And I'm going to tell you what you need to include in here also. But now There's not a single human being in the world, no matter how smart, no matter how evil, no matter how wicked, who can hack your money because you've been safe. Now, one thing I failed to say, on that dedicated computer that you run, you want to make sure that you invest the money. It's not an expense, it's an investment. Invest the money in Kaspersky software. That is virus protection software, so that you so that it can scan your whole computer. Because if you're using an older computer or you're using one, look, we have no idea the junk that's on our computer. I mean, you can open up any ad, you can open up anything, you can get an email from somebody. I mean, we all know, we all suffer from these same damn email ads. I almost fell for one a couple days ago. That's because I knew that I had a gift card for Amazon, and it said you need to go ahead and claim and claim the $150 gift card. And so I opened it up, and then I clicked on it, and then I'm like, oh. And then I went up and I looked, and it's this email address, todd@aol.com. That was what was up there. I've never had a todd@aol.com. I'm old, but I'm not that old. and so I know it's spam. But if I would have double clicked on that sucker, who knows what kind of malware would have poisoned my computer with, right? What these hackers can do is they can put this key tracking software on your computer. So that means that when you're typing your password to anything, they can track that. So if you go to your online banking account and you're without Kaspersky software, having run a scan to make sure that you're safe, you're at risk. So if you're going to get into this cryptocurrency game, I can't hammer it enough, because I've interviewed a guy. Go down, binge watch my videos. I interviewed this poor guy who lost $65,000. $65,000. I'll never forget the day that he was so excited that XRP, which was the coins that he recommended I get into initially, it started going up, and he was so excited. And he showed me his snapshot. It was like $64,000. And then the very next, like within hours, he's like, they stole all my money. And he reverse engineered it, thought it was, his wallet. It ended up, he had somebody that was tracking, that got a backdoor into his computer, and they just patiently waited. So again, sorry if I'm beating this up, but I just want to protect you and your money. This show is dedicated to newbies. So if I can help one person out there through over talking this point keep their money, then that's okay for the rest of you that may be bored at this point. So you've run Kaspersky, you're using a dedicated computer, you've got your offline cold storage wallet, you're done with your business, you've stored it on your Trezor, and now you're going to do what? You're going to shut your damn computer off. You're going to so that it's not connected to the internet. Now, with Bitcoin, after you do your homework and you read Bitcoin, hard money you can't fuck with, then you're going to realize that, you know what? You don't have to be in such a rush to get that Bitcoin that you put on your Trezor and be able to put it back on an exchange to sell it at a high so you can go down and later buy it at the dip. No, sir, no, ma'am. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you something that is going to blow your mind. Let's just... First of all, have a little fun. This is what all the crypto channel influencers will do. They'll look at a chart and they'll be able to make sense out of anything. That's my chart. I can say, oh yeah, I can look at this. This is a bull flag right here. No, I'm not even going to try to do the accent, but let me stop sharing that and share a different one. But I want to show you this. Watch this. Have you heard of Bitcoin futures? Well, when you take a look back and look at this, Bitcoin futures, when they expire, this is since Bitcoin's life began, and that's when they started the futures. When the futures expire, boom, it's the people who have these futures, they get up here to the top and they start selling because they know they're about to hit the expiration date. Boom. And then what happens? We catch our breath and let the bull market begin. And then these people who have these futures in, they know they're going to expire. So they all start selling. And then it goes again. Now, remember when I talked to you, imagine having your $1,000 of Bitcoin down here and not freaking out about it, about this market volatility. Why? Because if you just keep that damn thing on your treasure and go live your life and not worry about, the volatility of the market, just laugh it off. Because of the scarcity of Bitcoin, there are only 21 million of them. It's kind of like, if the pizza guy is selling a slice of pizza for $1, and then there's what's called Bitcoin halving, to where they cut the supply, the mining supply, in half every 4 years. So now that $5 piece of pizza goes, since there's only 4 left, now that he's able to get a lot more for that because the same people are still hungry. Bottom line, I'm probably confusing you, but Bitcoin on a long-term basis is going to go nothing but up. It's never going to stay down. It's going to go down. Look at this. It's going to go down. Well, guess what expires tomorrow, everyone? Yeah, the CME Bitcoin futures, they expire tomorrow, Friday. So Bitcoin is at $51,700. I'd be surprised if sometime tomorrow it doesn't dip into the 40s. We'll see. We'll see. If so, if it does, then I am an absolute genius. And if it doesn't, I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't, because of this chart. You just have to, you have to see the chart like I see the chart, and then I can reverse engineer anything, like all of the big boys do. Okay, so that I think was hopefully helpful. Uncle Newbie, you tell me, but I think that you asked me to go really newbie on this, so that was as newbie as I could get, just to be able to get $1,000 of fiat onto a treasure.
I appreciate it, and hope the listeners appreciate it as well. Could you please, I'm going to go basic on you again.
Yep.
When you're talking about keys, are you talking about seed words as well, or are these completely opposite?
Yeah, very good question. I'm talking about seed words. Thank you.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, your keywords, seed phrases. Yes. What those are, everyone, for every wallet that you have, you are that wallet that you download when you make it yours, it's going to generate a 12 to 25 word seed phrase. So these seed phrases are going to be all different words. So it could be, your first one is dog, second one, sky, third one, blue, whatever it is. Now that's where your paper and pencil or pen come in, that you have to make sure you do two things. With every wallet, you have a password, which you want to make, a complicated password. So, for example, mine always begins with, thought I was going to tell you, didn't you? No, it's a make it a complicated password. And again, I just went to Office Depot and I bought one of these nice little books, you know, and in there I have everything in there. I have, because I write it down, good old fashioned. I have my Exodus wallet. I have a page dedicated to my Exodus wallet. I write down what my password is. I write down my seed phrase, you know, and you have to get it exactly the right words in the right place. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, let's say that I do have a, you know, tragedy in my house. Let's say that I you know, have a fire, and no, that's a bad one for now until I tell you what I'm going to say next. But let's say that that basically my Trezor just went on the kerplunk. It just isn't working. I mean, for whatever reason, and I'm freaking out. Well, you could always get another Trezor, and as long as you have those seed phrases, that seed phrase, and your password, you can basically just recreate your wallet anywhere. Now, this is with the Trezor. I'm sure they also have, and I don't know this, but it just makes sense to me that you probably, with Trezor.io, you could probably restore your wallet directly online as well without a Trezor. I'm pretty sure that you can do that. That has to be the case. But let's just say that you got a new Trezor and you just wanted to restore it. Now, everything that was on your old Trezor is going to be on your new one, because you were very, very careful with your seed phrases and you didn't screw up. Now, they talk about there's 21 billion Bitcoin, or 21 million Bitcoin. But think about back in the day, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, the computers that were back then. I mean, that was before the first iPhone, right? And computing was clunky and hard and not fast. And think about all the people who had a lot of Bitcoins that were valued at, you know, 22 cents or 8 cents or whatever. Sure, maybe they had 10,000 Bitcoin. Who cares, right? They didn't treat it like it's gold. And now that Bitcoin, they would be so unbelievably, they would be billionaires with all of that. But probably they say about 3 to 4 million Bitcoins have been lost, just because people, you know, they trashed their computer hard drives, or they lost their computer, or they forgot their seed phrase, or they forgot their password. They're gone. So when you hear 21 million and you think about the scarcity of that, think of it more like, I'd say 18 million. And then from the 18 million, the guy who invented, they say, the Bitcoin, his name is Satoshi. Apparently he has 1 million Bitcoin that have never moved. So will they ever move? All I know is I can't buy one. You can't buy one, Uncle Newbie. So now we're down to 17 million. And then you have a lot of, you know, these large investors like Michael Saylor. You have who says he's never selling his Bitcoin. I'll believe it when I see it. But bottom line, you're talking about such a scarce asset, which you're going to learn when you get that book and you listen to. I suggest you listen to it, because it just makes all the difference in the world, I think. But you'll realize that, you know, why? Like I now, after being on the third time, I'm thinking, why on earth would anyone ever want to sell their Bitcoin? Ever? I just don't know. I mean, go ahead.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay. So with something tangible like silver or gold, you say, why would you want to sell it? So now I have silver or gold and I'm running into a hard time. I could resell that. I could use it to barter with somebody during really difficult times. Or money, even money today as we know it. But to hold on to Bitcoin and say you're never going to sell it, what's the point of even getting it then? What are we talking about here?
Well, ultimately, you're going to be able to, okay, this is the way I'm thinking about it. Okay. When I buy Bitcoin, and let's just say we're rich, okay? And we can buy 1 Bitcoin. So now I have a Bitcoin that's valued at $52,000 that I know ultimately is going to go to $1 million, just because it's hard money you can't fuck with. Mm-hmm. And you'll learn this from the book, okay? So what you know is there's no other asset on the planet that is as perfect and scarce as Bitcoin. It's perfect in every way. The Satoshi genius thought of everything. So it's way too big now. It's $1 trillion class. It's not going to be, no government is going to make it go away. They can't. That would be like a government coming in and saying that they're going to outlaw, the internet. Just not going to happen, right? It's not going to Bitcoin is never going away. So you're going to be able to have that. Now, that does not mean that you cannot generate income from it. You can do what's called staking, to where you can, basically it's like a CD, right? Like you're parking your fiat currency in the bank and they're paying you like 1%. Well, there are companies now that if you stake your Bitcoin with them, you can generate 10%. And I believe I even heard recently 20% on an annual basis. So that grows up to be real money. So the service that I'm in, the Moonstream service, the philosophy there is get your Bitcoin and then have some dry powder to be able to play in the altcoin market. And this is where you get more speculative, but you have a smaller investment. But these are coins to where you might spend $1,000 on a coin. And just like Theta recently, it went from like a dime to 14 or 15 bucks, like within a month. So you do the math. I mean, $1,000 of that, you have people that are, thinking about what model of Lamborghini they're going to get, And so then what Mike from Moonstream, his philosophy is, when you moon out on these coins intelligently, or you make your gains, then you take your profits and you buy Bitcoin and put it on your stack. Mm-hmm. And so his goal, he says his goal is he wants his stack to be as tall as possible so that when he decides, he can just stake it all. And by the way, while he's still investing, he's staking the Bitcoin. So when I say leave it on your Trezor, don't ever touch it, I'm not meaning that literally. You might stake your Bitcoin with these companies so you can get income from it. I'm just saying keep it as an asset, as a hard asset. And then, you have enough stack of Bitcoin. I don't know about you, but if I had 10 Bitcoin, I could probably, if I'm getting 10%, and that sucker goes up to 500,000 a Bitcoin or $1 million a Bitcoin or whatever, I could probably live pretty well passively, with just the 10 or 20% that's coming off of that. So did that answer the question?
It did. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, with your keywords, I want to share with you one of the things that you want to buy.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
You said something about 6-digit number prior to that, but the keywords are 12 to 24, you said.
I'm sorry. When I say keywords, this is my bad. It's seed phrase. Your seed words.
Seed words. Okay.
I need to stop saying keywords, seed words.
Okay. And you mentioned that there was a 6-digit number that you had to have in order to put it on your Trezor, I thought.
So yeah, on your Trezor T, you have on the front, I don't know if you can see it, but on a front, it's just like the front of your phone.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see if I can't get it in here. But anyway, when I plug it into my computer, that will light up and there'll be 9 numbers. Okay. And it will direct me. It'll say that you need to put in your 6-digit number. So it's basically like if you're opening your phone, your iPhone or whatever, and you have, your password in there, it's just your password to this. That's the 6 numbers. Right. So, but for now I have my paper and pencil in there, and I have my Trezor in there, and this is a fireproof bag that I order off of Amazon that keeps everything in. But if there's a fire, I don't want to trust that fireproof bag is going to, especially if that's going to be my investment, right? That's going to be where my money is. And I'm my own personal bank, and there is no FDIC insurance, everyone. So this is why you have to be so careful, not so careful that it stymies you and makes you afraid of getting involved with this, but just be smart. And that's what we're going to do together. All of us, we're going to be smart together. You can go online, and I bought a U-Tool unlimited craftsmanship. It is a power engraver, and it looks like this. And that allows me to engrave steel. And it looks like, well, let's open it up. I've not opened this up. Let's just see what it looks like, everyone, live on the Uncle Vigilante Show. So here it is. It's kind of cool. Looks like it's just, I put a little engraver thingy there, and it's kind of like a pencil. And what that's going to allow me to do is that's going to allow me to use these, which I just got, which these are steel plates that are templates that, all right, I know this makes for bad TV, but let me open this up. I'm going to open one of these bad boys. But basically you have right here, so alphanumeric, right? Mm-hmm. And that's going to allow me to take the steel that I got in. I think I got 6 by 6 inch plates, or maybe it's 4 by 6 inch plates. I ordered like 24 of them in a pack that are just thin little, blank plates that I intend to, with every wallet I have that requires seed words and a password, I'm going to engrave on the top. I'm going to just put Trezor T. And if you have multiple Trezors, which I have 2 because I need to keep one for my 401k LLC separate from my personal one. And then I'll put my password and I'll put my seed phrases all on that engraved metal plate. Why? Because if there's a fire, guess what? My paper can burn, and I'm not going to go into the throes of depression because I lost all my money because I didn't memorize those keywords. Or gosh, boy, seed words. I gotta change that. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but those are some of the things that I'm doing to protect myself. You can do them or not. Maybe you're not worried about fire. But for me, I'm like so into this. I'm thinking, why would I not protect myself to the max and learn from the mistakes of others? And there's a lot of people who've lost a lot of coins because they lost their paper or it got damaged somehow. There are things called floods too, hurricanes. I live in Florida. So imagine that. Imagine a hurricane and water comes in and, I think water damages paper too, but it's not going to damage a steel engraved plate. So, okay. What else? Let's see. Let me just say hi. Let me check the chat. I just want to check in. I feel like I've done a lot of talking, and Amy's in there in the house. Amy or any word. Oh, any word. Dave Sims. Throwing out too many terms. Okay. Dave Sims thinks I'm throwing out too many terms to you, the newbie, but I think we did all right. So, okay, Mr. Newbie, let's, what else is on your mind? What can we?
One of the reasons I was hesitant about Bitcoin in the past, I think I don't know if I mentioned to you, about 2009, some coworkers were talking to me about Bitcoin. And they were investing in it. And to be quite honest with you, I just wasn't interested at all. It didn't make any sense to me at the time.
Right. Welcome to the club.
Right. So I try not to think about that too much, what could have happened if I did get involved at that time. But
you know what would have happened? You know what would have happened? You would have gotten filthy rich, and then you would have somehow, it would have gone to your head. You'd be divorced now. You'd be, a druggie. So just be happy that you didn't get in back then. I'm looking out for you, Uncle Newbie.
I appreciate that. So one of my concerns was, okay, we're looking at the destruction of the dollar. And it's
yes, we are.
For a while. I, for one, as many people do, like the idea of cash. If your son or daughter wants to cut the neighbor's yard, it's a nice thing to be able to pay them with cash.
Sure.
We used to have a neighbor who my son cut grass for when he was young, and he'd give him 50-cent silver pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it meant something. And he could go to the store, not the silver pieces, but the kid makes some money, and then he can go buy himself some whatever he wants to buy. And the thought of losing that completely is disheartening for a lot of people for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of business owners depend on it.
Mm-hmm.
So are we, the way my mind works, I'm thinking, could the government have started this whole Bitcoin thing to kind of get people interested?
No.
Tempt them into this idea of digital currency?
No.
No.
They're not that smart. This Satoshi creation was such an anti-government thing, and it was launched strategically right after 2008, and you know what happened in 2008. And let me just share with people, cash, I hear you that's a wonderful sentiment, and I share it, and I don't think cash is going away anytime soon, to the point that it's going to be a cashless society, but let me tell you what's happening to your cash. And I'm not just talking about inflation, but this is where if you really want to understand this, go to hope.com, and that's Michael Saylor's site, and you can spend a week in there going through his videos and getting an education on Bitcoin in this asset class. And Michael Saylor, if you search on YouTube for Michael Saylor 10 series, 10 series Michael Saylor, just search for that and listen to the 4th and the 8th installment. And you will then appreciate what is happening to our cash from a purchasing power standpoint. He looks at it and has looked at it from a corporate view of he's the CEO of MicroStrategies, and he's so damn smart. He realized with the printing of the money that's happening, the devaluation of the dollar and what it's doing to a corporate treasury from a purchasing power standpoint, from your alternative use of funds. And basically, if I simplify what he was saying, and I wanted to give you an analogy, it would be like saying, okay, you have $100 in the bank. You mowed a bunch of neighbors' lawns, and Mr. Newbie, and they each paid you $5. You have $100 in the bank, and your parents always said, just keep it in the bank, save it. Well, from not a literal standpoint with inflation, it might be worth a couple of percent less, but from a buying power standpoint, and again, you have to listen to the Michael Saylor series, but his number is 15%, that we're losing 15% of the buying power of our toxic digital or our toxic cash every year. So that $100, go through the mental exercise of saying, withdraw $15 on December 31st and take your lighter, and I want you to light all $15 bills. Poof, gone. You're left with $85. So it's December 31st of the next year. So 85 times 0.15. Is that right? 85 times 0.15. So 15%, that's $12.75. So withdraw $12 cash, burn those $12 bills. And the 75 cents, those 3/4, they aren't even worth making a wish. You can't even use them to make a wish because they hold no value. So, but $12.75, that's not as bad as last year, right? Last year it was $15, right? So now minus 85, now you're at 72.25. So 72.25 times 0.15 is only $11.28. That's not as bad as that initial $15, right? But it's the same 15%. So that's why what we in back in 1990, what we could buy for $10, we have to pay well over $20 today for that same item. So that is why with Bitcoin, because of the scarcity of it, it will not depreciate. It can't. It can be volatile, but it's never going to depreciate. It's only going to appreciate. And that's why it is digital gold. It is the best store of value that you can have. So that $100, if you instead didn't put it in the bank and you put it in Bitcoin, in 10 years, it's probably going to be worth $1,000 in 10 years.
And those figures that he gave was prior to all of the money printing we've been doing.
He was factoring in the money printing when in his math, because what he started doing, people don't know, he's socializing. This is what's such a big deal. I mean, Morgan Stanley right here. I work for an illionaire with a B. And when I got into cryptocurrency the second week of January of this year, I reached out to my boss and I said, "Hey, boss, you're probably way ahead of me, but I am just getting into this cryptocurrency business and I'm lost. This is like way over my head." And I'm just like, is this like second nature to you by now? And he's like, "Dude, don't know a thing about it." So you're talking about a very high net worth individual who hasn't even considered it. Well, guess what he sent me last week? He sent me an email with this PDF attached. It's from Morgan Stanley Wealth Management. So he's a high net worth individual with Morgan Stanley. And it's called The Case for Cryptocurrency as an Investable Asset Class in a Diversified Portfolio. Boom, right there. So this Michael Saylor, if you listen to his series, you will realize that he is the #1 Bitcoin evangelist in the world. And he is socializing, investing corporate treasury into Bitcoin. He believes it's a fiduciary irresponsibility to not allocate probably 5% of your corporate treasury. So when you think about the scarcity of Bitcoin and that there are only, let's say it 15 million out there to be exchanged, and you have these whales like Morgan Stanley now getting into this business. Tesla bought $1.5 billion $1.5 billion worth. You have Michael Saylor, which he's bought, I believe, $10 billion worth, or it's worth 10 billion now, but he invested 500 million and then he borrowed another billion. And then I think he borrowed another 500 million. And now it's worth well over, no, I think it's almost 20 billion he has. Anyway, may have the math wrong, but anyway, it's worth a lot more money than when he started investing in it. So now you have people like that who are buying it as digital gold. They don't want to sell it. Because they get it. So when you start to realize that, then every bit of Bitcoin that you can get, if you just hold on to it for your dear life, and don't worry about the volatility, because if in doubt, zoom out. So if you zoom in, let me actually, I'll give you a personal story. So this week, I've been going through some things. And it's like I've had a lot of angst this week, a lot of impersonal agita, and I have really been kind of internal turmoil. Okay. You've been there, I'm sure. I bet everyone watching this knows what I'm talking about. When it just, your gut is just tied up in a knot, right? You just feel kind of out of control. You just feel like, you're just on edge. You know what I'm talking about? Uncle Newbie?
Absolutely.
You ever been there?
Yep.
Well, I went through the mental exercise of when in doubt, zoom out. And by zooming out, I stand back and I take a look and I thank God for the roof over my head, for my family. Had the pleasure of taking my 3 dogs for a walk today. I'm in good health. I lost 50 pounds this last year. I stopped drinking alcohol a year ago. I'm my marriage is great. My kids are going through some things, which is part of my angst, because I just feel for my kids. But I'm going to be able to be there for them. And I remember back to 2008 when my world was turned upside down and I went from being a multimillionaire to totally bankrupt within 4 months. 4 months. And you talk about, when your every measure of a man was built around material gain and just everything, and then poof, it's gone. I went through some shit. And I struggled back and went through, I call it my lost decade, because I just was a grinder, man, just trying to get back to sanity and get back to where, you didn't have a 582 credit rating, that kind of stuff, and it was all because of a stupid financial decision where I bet the farm, my fault. So this week, guess what I did? As I'm going through all of this internal angst, if in doubt, zoom out. And I zoomed out and I'm like, holy moly, it's 2021. I live in Florida. It's a beautiful weather. I'm going to go for a walk this afternoon. I'm not bankrupt. You know what I mean? And you start looking at perspective and I'm like, this is a little itsy bitsy hiccup this week that I'm going through. So same with cryptocurrency and its volatility. If in doubt, zoom out. And let's just do that right now. Let's just do that. Let's go to, I want to show you this again. And let's just walk through this. And sorry, everyone, but I want you to look here. This, boom, 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 and then all of a sudden you got a buddy who got in here, And all of a sudden it's like, oh man, he's writing it up and he starts telling you about it again. And oh, you get into it and you're like, and finally he's like, dude, I told you about it down here, dude. And then you're like right here and you're like, screw it. Let me just bet it all. And boom. Right? If in doubt, zoom out and let's take a look at where it started and where it's going. And so even the dude that bought here, if he goes through a couple more cycles, it's just going to keep going, up because of the scarcity of Bitcoin. And that's, I think, very important when you're going to get into this, because if a beautiful thing is, here's a little helpful hint. There's an app called Blockfolio. It just has a big B on it. And it's really cool because you can load in all of your coins. So if you start getting a diversified set of coins and you have like 0.025 Bitcoin and 2 Ether and 4 Monero or whatever you end up having, then you can just load those in there no matter where they're stored, the coins are stored. But then it tells you every time you open that app exactly what the value of all of your portfolio is, even if they're offline. If you put the same amount in your Blockfolio app as is on your Trezor or wherever you're storing your coins, then you can see it. And I'm telling you, man, it's a great dopamine hit. Every day, you just, especially when you start getting a little bit of money in it. And it's been so crazy the last couple of months. I mean, in a good way, in a green way. Now, I've never lived through a bear market. I'm sure that sucks where it has the opposite effect. But anyway, Blockfolio is one thing I'd really recommend. And they also have, hot news items too. And what I've started to do is instead of ignoring them, I've started to read them. Why? Because I want to understand the language. I want to understand what's important. What if Blockfolio feels it's important enough to post, I certainly feel it's important enough to read, because that's just going to make me smarter.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people are saying that Bitcoin, it's not really hidden money. The government knows everything that you purchase. They know what you have. Where maybe Monero is different in a sense. Could you explain the differences between the two? And is Monero a better way of going about if you want privacy?
Okay. So, spirit of full disclosure, I do not own any Monero. And the reason why I don't own any Monero is because of the fire hose analogy. When I got into this, I got into XRP, which then got delisted. And, it's still my largest holdings because that's what I put most of my dry powder in. And then I started buying Bitcoin, and then I bought some other thing. I got into a service with this Weiss Ratings, and which I would never recommend for anybody else. But I bought what they recommended. And then I went to the Crypto Vigilante Summit, the TCV. And that's where I learned about Monero. So at that point in time, I didn't have a whole lot of dry powder left. Okay. And so, but I totally get why it's important, why you would want to have Monero, and I'm committed to getting Monero. But I'm wanting to follow my own advice. And my advice to a newbie is keep it slow, keep it simple. We don't have to be, if you're going into this right now thinking that you have to protect your privacy, that's your number one, and you don't want to get on a KYC exchange, which means know your customer. And all that means is these are exchanges that are trying to stay in business so the government won't close them down. So that means that, the governments want to know who is buying what. And so they make you upload your driver's license front and back and put your social security number in there or your EIN number if you're trading as a LLC or whatever. And so that they can keep track. And when you have profits, those exchanges, to be able to stay in business without the government shutting them down, they're going to report that. So you are, these are taxable events when you sell anything, or if you exchange a coin for anything, that becomes a taxable event, and you have to account for that. And the exchanges are going to send, the IRS that information, and so it's not private. So Bitcoin, if you're buying Bitcoin out there, unless you buy it peer to peer, and I don't want to go into that as newbies because it's unnecessary. That's not this channel. But they're going to know that you're buying Bitcoin, and that's okay, because, I'm pretty confident you're not using your Bitcoin to go on the Silk Road, which has been shut down, to buy drugs. That used to be the Amazon of drugs. What Bitcoin used to be. That was the initial use case, was for the Silk Road, until the FBI shut them down. But I guess in the day, you could literally go in, and it was like Amazon or eBay, to where you could go in and you could put in, I want to buy ecstasy or cocaine, or I want to buy anything. I want a hitman. You could buy a hitman, crazy. And you would pay with Bitcoin. And that's what initially gave it kind of a bad name, and such. But the fact is, it's not private. They know, because you're going to buy it on an exchange. So they're going to know what Bitcoin you bought and when you sell it, or when you transfer it, and whenever it reappears somewhere, they'll be able to track that. They have all the software that can track that. Now, Monero, once you exchange your coins, or once you buy Monero, that begins with privacy. So nobody ever knows that you have it. So believe me, I want to get into that. It's just too soon for me now, because I'm not through figuring out the basics yet. Does that make sense? And again, I want to follow my own advice and not get out over my skis. And I'm not worried about privacy at this point. If our country gets into this absolute, uber tyrannical place and space, to where I have to entirely disengage if I don't, take a jab or whatever, or if all of a sudden they start having these egregious tax rates that are, they're gonna, you and I'll know when it starts to be that point in time to where we're like, we need to get the hell out of Dodge. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'll ever come, but if it does, Monero certainly is something that people should understand. And I'm just naive to it at this point. Let's see, everyone. I don't even intend to make purchase. At least have to hold BTC for the next halving. So yeah, I think the other thing that's important to consider if you're a newbie and you're buying, if you do buy coins and you end up selling them or exchange them or whatever, whenever you withdraw, or if you want to cash in a coin. So let's say you buy a Bitcoin, and look, life happens, right? And you might need, let's say you have a Bitcoin that's $52,000, mm-hmm. and life happens, and you had a totaled car or something, and you need to be able to get $10,000 cash. So, hey, that's what it's there for. When you withdraw that, that's a taxable event. So whatever, your profit was on that coin, you're going to have to pay tax on it, on your, so, but if you hold it for over a year, it becomes a long-term capital gains tax. So it goes from your current tax rate, which could be anywhere from 30, from 25% to 35% to 15% if it's held over a year. So at least with Bitcoin, you just want to park it for a year.
Another silly question. Actually, hopefully it's not silly.
Nothing silly.
A naive question, maybe. Okay, you go to purchase a Bitcoin. You get it off, the Pro.
Coinbase Pro.
Coinbase Pro.
Or Kraken Pro.
Yeah, you're giving them greenbacks to buy that. Where is that money actually going to?
Well, what they're doing is it's kind of like a credit card issuer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go into a store and let's say you use your credit card. So you have your greenbacks that are in the bank, right? Mm-hmm. And your credit card, let's call that the exchange. Okay. They're taking a 3% fee off of that they're charging the grocer for. Mm-hmm. So if you buy something for $1, the grocer's getting 97 cents and the 3 cents is going to the credit card issuer who is making that transaction happen. So that's all the exchanges are. They are taking money and somebody's selling or buying, right? So if somebody's selling, they're taking your money and they're giving them the cash and they're taking their Bitcoin. Okay. So somebody's cashing out. So somebody's always buying and selling for sure.
Okay. Is there a running ledger of how many Bitcoins are left? Like nobody really knows, you said, so we really don't know.
No, I think this is what's crazy. I think there are only 3 million Bitcoins left to be mined over the next century. So because this halving, which is every 4 years, the amount of money, I think it started at $50 maybe when it first happened, when somebody mined a Bitcoin, which basically means they're just, when somebody's mining, they're just having their computer set up, download the Bitcoin Satoshi software, whatever it is. And that's basically just using energy to be able to use the software to try to crack a code. So they're just trying to do the dials on a safe so many times. And the first miner that actually cracks it and opens it, they get that $50. Okay. For that Bitcoin. Now, after 4 years, that was halved to $25, and then $12.50 in 2017, I believe, and then 2021, it's going down to $6. So it's like $6.25. So it's getting harder and harder, or you're getting paid less and less. I don't know. Again, listen to the book. He explains it way better than I do. But that's what's crazy about it, is that you just can't make any more of it. It's so damn scarce, and it's so hard to be able to find these other Bitcoins or to mine these other Bitcoins. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and the incentive goes down each time. It's kind of like, at some point, why bother, right? You're only getting 625 now or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or I should say, you got a full Bitcoin, and then it was half a Bitcoin, and then 25% of a Bitcoin. That's what it is. It's a percentage of a Bitcoin. Okay. So as the Bitcoin price goes up, the miners still make more, right? Because the percentage. Yeah. So it's based on percentages. Sorry, I just talked myself into understanding it. All right. Somebody says, Jim Foster says, I'm still trying to figure out my wallet. Which wallet is it, Jim? And I have found that pretty much YouTube answers everything. When you just put in whatever, Exodus 101 or Haven Wallet 101. All right. But bottom line is, with this Trezor, you want personal custody of your assets. You know, just like, think about it this way. If you're familiar with what happened in Greece, I think it was in 2018, and they had that bail-in. Basically, the government went in and they took 15% all overnight. 15%. If you had $100 in the bank took $15 and there was nothing you could do about it. And if you had over, I believe it was over $100,000, everything over $100,000, they took 43% of it. That's called a bail-in, because they needed to come up with $7 billion to the World Bank or something like that. It was nuts. So that's where, I mean, all of us, we shouldn't keep a ton of money in the bank, you know? And again, that's why Bitcoin is hard money you're not messing with. It's just,
these are scary times, Uncle V.
They're scary times, but I'm really, go ahead.
I was just saying, these are really scary times for a lot of people financially, because they have no idea what to do now.
Right.
You see what's happening with the dollar. Most people probably have no clue about Bitcoin, other than somebody's making a lot of money from it.
Yep.
Gold and silver selling. People are grabbing whatever they can. But what's going to happen to the majority of the people?
It's going to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And that's why I kind of, you know, for me, I want to be an evangelist for especially older people who might have some 401ks. Mm-hmm. And after I get through my process that I'm in, which should be maybe the end of next week, to where I have everything set with this company, where I would have liquidated my 401ks, and then I have moved them into, or transferred them into my LLC IRA. And so now I can actually purchase crypto through there and have the seed words sent to me, so that I'm not relying on a custodian to keep my cryptocurrency. I'll keep it myself. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And I will be able to control my own destiny with my own investments under the protection of this LLC IRA, which means it's going to grow tax-free until I start withdrawing it, which, you know, I'm 56 now. I could start withdrawing it at 59 and a half. I have to, if I didn't touch it, I have to start drawing 4.5% of it when I'm 70 and a half years old. So that's when I'd have to take the first drawdown. But for me, that's almost, 15 years of growth to be able to have that tax-free. And, if I do need it, I'll be able to draw it down. And if I am lucky in this once in a lifetime time we're in with this crypto class, if I don't do anything stupid and I'm wise in what I invest in, and I don't get caught up in the, chasing the green candles and then selling when everyone else is selling, I really want to be patient. I really want to be patient here. And that's why I want to take it slow. And that's why I'm not into Monero yet, but I will be. But I want to be disciplined here, because that's 15 years to where smartly done. I think there'll be a point in time in that 15 years that if I so chose, I could choose not to work and just, live off of staking.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a great service what you're doing for others. I appreciate it. and I'm sure all your listeners really appreciate this. You don't have to do this. You could do it on your own and get the profits, but it just tells, I think it shouts out the type of character that you embody.
Well, thank you.
You're a good man for doing this. And it's unfortunate too, Uncle V, that you ever notice how men aren't appreciated till we're gone?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Think about it sometime. Even families, fathers are appreciated as much. And, you don't really realize how important they were in your life till you lose them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And what you're doing, you're leaving a legacy that a lot of people are going to benefit from.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. I mean, that means more than you know to me, and especially this week, which reminds me of one other thing that I want to talk about, which is this little care package here that I've talked about already, right? The one that has all my keywords in it and passwords and everything. If you are married to somebody or have a family who aren't crypto experts, it's going to be Chinese to them. They aren't going to know anything. So the one thing that you have to do is just find somebody whom you know and trust who understands cryptocurrency, and then just put a big fat note in there that, in mine, it says, if I get hit by a bus, call my friend John Jay. Here's his phone number. Here's his email address. Mm-hmm. And my friend John Jay knows that I put that in there. And so if I ever get hit by a bus, he's going to make sure that my family doesn't just use my treasure as a paperweight, but they actually can extract the value from it. So again, that's some of these responsible things that we just have to think about when we're getting into this, because unfortunately there's no FDIC. Now that's unfortunately, but it's also fortunate, because that means there's no third party involved with our own personal bank. We don't need anybody's permission to do anything here. Matter of fact, if you had a good memory and you could memorize your keywords, you could flee the country naked and take your money with you. Think about that. I mean, it's, actually don't think about that. You can never unsee that, but that's pretty powerful, And if you think about some of these countries, think about Venezuela, man. You don't think that's coming to a theater near you with all of the money printing that they're doing, the monetary policy now. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to go to the store and say, "Holy crap! Last week this milk was $5. What do you mean it's 10.85 this week?" Right?
Right.
So, what are your goals with your crypto adventures now?
Me? Well, I'm so new at it, I don't even know.
Can I give you a goal?
Please do.
Okay. Do you want to be part of the 1% club?
Absolutely.
We all want to be part of the 1% club, right? If you own 0.25% of a Bitcoin, mm-hmm. you're in the 1% club. Only 1% of mankind owns 0.25% of a Bitcoin. So what is that? Let's see. It's 52,000 today times 0.25. I'm sorry. 0.025. It's 0.025. Sorry. 52,000. So wait, 0.025 times 52000 equals. That just has to be wrong. 52,000. I think it's 0.25 times. I think that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 0.25. So it's 12,000, $13,000. Mm-hmm. So if you owned $13,000 worth of Bitcoin, you would own more than 99% of the people out there. So you'd be a 1%er. So, but it does show you that it's not something that is just so far outside our grasp. We're still so early in this. We really are. We are totally on the leading edge of all this. I mean, you may feel like a newbie, but if we would have had this same conversation on January 1st of this year, I wouldn't have known. Nothing would make sense to me. And so what's it? What, 3 months? I've been in it 3 months, and I'm, smart enough to be dangerous with it. As I say, I don't know shit, but I know enough. But I know so much more than other people, and so it's crazy to me how quickly we can get through the learning curve. If you just get in the game, but you have to ride the bike. That's the part. You can study it all you want. It's going to go in one ear, out the other, one eye, through your brain, out, so, and that's not a bad goal. I think everyone should have the goal to be able to, if it's not, have $10,000 of savings, have $10,000 of Bitcoin.
Right. Would you mind at this time repeating one more time what newbies should do?
What newbies should do. Okay.
Like what we should do tomorrow.
What you should do tomorrow.
Or tonight. Coinbase Pro. That's
the first thing you need to do is go to Audible.
Okay. Order the
book. Get this book. Yep. You need to search for the Michael Saylor series on YouTube and listen to the 4th and 8th segment. I can't remember the guy who's interviewing him. I should. Shame on me.
I listened to the 4th yesterday, by the way. You gave me the advice to do that. I did. And I see the benefits in it already.
Right.
Right on. Yeah.
You should go to hope.com and you should study that, learn everything you can about that. You should go to YouTube and put in Bitcoin 101 and Crypto 101, and study 5 videos. Make sure you get Crypto Casey's Crypto 101. She's awesome. And then you want to go to Coinbase Pro, maybe go to YouTube and get an overview on Coinbase Pro, on what that is. Exodus wallet. You want to be able to download an Exodus wallet to your computer. And you want to be able to order a Trezor or a Ledger. Those are your offline cold storage wallets. I recommend the Trezor T. And you want to make sure that you get it from a qualified Amazon buyer, because imagine if you have some scumbag who knows how to screw with a Trezor and they have a back door into it because they weren't the direct manufacturer. So, Trezor.io, you can order directly from them. You're getting it direct from the source. I tried doing that, but I found, I don't know if it's they're from Scotland or something. So the exchange, it seemed like it was about $300 instead of $200, on Amazon. So there is an investment with that. You need to make sure that you order or go to the, store and get some fireproof bags, get a notebook, pen that you can dedicate to your keywords and your passwords, and protect those with your life, and go into it not passively but aggressively, saying, this is going to be part of my strategy. I'm going to make sure I document everything, and never, ever, 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 ever type in your keywords or your password into a Word document that you're going to print out or save on a notes. On all you're doing is asking for somebody to come in and steal your life. Never anything that has to do with cryptocurrency, paper, pen, paper, pen, paper. And if you want to get advanced and start engraving, like I'm going to start doing because you're concerned about fire maybe, or, you know, that's a different level of security. But you know what? It's cheap to be able to do that. And hey, I'm going to turn it into a project with my daughter. So that'll be kind of fun to do that engraving. And then you want to get an account on Coinbase Pro and connect your bank account to it, your checking account. Make sure you have your when you get set up, they're going to ask you to send them a copy of your driver's license front and back. And actually through the app on the phone, you can just take a picture of it front and back. They'll ask you to hold up your camera to your face and get kind of close, and then it'll capture your face. And that's called KYC, know your customer. Now they know you. And then you can fund your account and go buy some Bitcoin. Go buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. And then just study for the next 2 weeks, because you can't take it off the exchange for a couple of weeks, but that's okay. Just watch it every day. Download Blockfolio app, figure out how to add the Bitcoin coin to it, and then get your little daily dopamine hit and see how it, and another fun thing to do is go to coin360.com, coin360.com, and you can, it's a chart that shows all of the major coins that are out there, and it'll visually show you if they are green. That means they're in a good place. You're making money. If they're red, it's losing money, and it's just visually very cool. And you can actually do it on a day, or I like to look at it on an hourly basis, because then you get a real sense of what the market is doing just by, I have it on my iPad all the time, just sitting there, like it's a plant, to where I can just see, I can just visually get a snapshot. So that's kind of fun. And then the other,
one point.
What's that?
You forgot one point that you stressed with me.
Okay.
Not to transfer all the money over to your wallet.
Oh, thank you.
A portion of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. When you transfer that $1,000 over to your Exodus wallet, transfer $10 or as little as you can, to just make sure that you get it right. And what'll happen is once you transfer it and you keep your computer open, nothing happens right away. And you're like, what the? And then in about 5 minutes, you hear, it's like these coins go ching. It's like a ching. And you hear it on your computer, and then you look on your Exodus wallet, and sure enough, it's there. And then when you transfer it over to from your Exodus wallet on your computer to your offline cold storage wallet, the Trezor, you hear a whoosh, whoosh, so there's some sound effects, and it's just kind of cool. But yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for reminding me, because I did a large exchange for a new coin that was it was a lot more complicated than from Coinbase. It was a different exchange, and you had to download a very specific wallet on your computer that doesn't sync with Trezor. And I transferred the amount that I invested, and it didn't show up. And I was freaking. And what I should have done is only sent $100, and I sent it all. Now, there's a happy ending to the story. After I hit my head up against the wall for 24 hours, I restored my wallet, and it takes a long time for wallets to restore and to download the whole blockchain onto your computer. I didn't know you had to do that. So it ended up showing up finally, finally. But that was, I think I would talk to you right after that experience. So it was top of mind. Yeah. Does Exodus allow you to link your bank account? No, it does not. It's not. Exodus is not an exchange. So Exodus is a wallet. So, All right. Well, I have to get up early tomorrow and head out of town. So, but man, this was really enjoyable. Thank you. Any parting questions? And by no means is this the last time that we're going to talk. As you continue to have questions, that's part of what I want this to be about, is let's just go through this journey together. So if you go through something, or if you experience something to where now you can say, hey, you know what? I just did this. I get it now. I kind of had an epiphany, an aha moment. Let me write that down. I want to talk to UncleOdd about that, because other people will appreciate it. Because this is not just my channel, it's our channel. That's the way I want to approach it.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you. If you don't already, as they say, smash that like button, and please tell some other people in your operating realities to come subscribe to this channel. I really do appreciate that. I'd like to get over 1,000, because then I can start live streaming from my cell phone when I'm on a walk. But I need to get over 1,000. We're getting close. But more than that, just if you know people who might be interested in crypto, or if it's someone in your family who doesn't get it, or if it's your significant other who doesn't get it, and they kind of think you're a little wacko for maybe going down here and it's too risky. And, Uncle Newbie, kind of your wife, little cautious. I know my wife, very cautious. Mm-hmm. And so these videos are for them too, so that they can just kind of appreciate that there's a lot of us in it together, and we're going to have each other's backs. Right. And I'm excited about it. I look forward to, I was telling my wife, I said, I envision a day in, let's say 5 to 10 years, 7 years or whatever. And there's a Uncle Vigilante conference somewhere where there's a whole bunch of people who have they've done so financially well over the last half decade, and we're just celebrating the fact that, we can't believe we ever thought we were newbies, and we'll have people at that point in time thinking that we're these seasoned pros who've been in it since the beginning of time. But that's us right now. We're newbies, but we're not on the bleeding edge. We are on the leading edge. So, all right, Uncle Newbie, really appreciate you. This was fun.
Good day to you. Thank
All right.